Quiet for the overnight hours and into your Tuesday morning commute. No problem there. We are clearing the skies out, especially from Grand Rapids northward. We'll poke some more holes in that cloud cover and see variably cloudy skies overnight. Already down to 20 degrees up there in Big Rapids. They'll fall into the low to mid-teens. 29 in Grand Rapids. 30 degrees or better along and south of 94. Your Tuesday planner. 21 at 7 a.m. Variably cloudy. Turning mostly cloudy through the day. Maybe a flake or flurry tomorrow with highs only around 32. But we may not get out of the teens as we get into later this week with accumulating snow. We'll look at the timetable of when all that unfolds coming up just after 10:30, Janice.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Man accused of shooting at a U.S. Marshal last week is now in custody.
Yeah, police found Maximilian Long in Grand Rapids this afternoon after getting a tip that they say he was found in an apartment near 44th and Breton around 1:30 today. They'd been looking for him since last week Tuesday when they say Long fired at the Marshal, who had been in an unmarked vehicle watching a home off of Sherman Street at the time.
This is huge. This, again, I can't emphasize enough the amount of person hours that have been put into this. Our detectives, our special response team, our K-9 officers, our patrol officers have been working pretty much nonstop. This individual is certainly someone that is not only a felon who shot at a law enforcement officer, but somebody that is a danger to the public. And this is an individual that certainly needs to not only be accountable for what he's done, but needs to face justice.
That U.S. Marshal was not hurt during the shooting. Long will be arraigned, meanwhile, in the coming days. Police in Kalamazoo looking for at least 2 suspects after a home invasion off of Alamo Avenue Sunday morning. They say around 2 o'clock, a person was asleep when 2 men broke in and asked him for marijuana. They say a fight broke out and that guy in the home was shot in the leg before those suspects took off. He is expected to recover and told police he's not involved in any drugs. Police now looking into whether the suspects were looking for a tenant who previously lived there.
Some repairs are now needed at the Ace Hardware store in Caledonia after it was hit by a vehicle around 5 o'clock this morning. Employees tell us a man hit the building, but that nobody was injured. No word yet on what caused that crash. Amazon is now hiring for its new fulfillment center in Gaines Township.
Yeah, they are promising good things for the 1,000 people they're hoping to bring on. Fox 17's Doug Reardon has those details.
Let the hiring begin. Retail giant Amazon is looking for 1,000 new positions picking, packing, and shipping orders at its massive new fulfillment center in Gaines Township.
We're excited to join the Grand Rapids community and create great full-time, full-benefit jobs.
New hires can make anywhere from Amazon's $15 minimum wage up to $16.50 an hour.
But it does bring jobs in, and maybe it'll serve some of those residents that are marginalized or underserved. Plus, just anybody who wants a job, you know.
Gaines Township Supervisor Robert DeWard says local businesses started seeing the positive impact of the $150 million facility even before Amazon moved in.
They used local plumbing contractors, concrete contractors, asphalt pavers, mechanical contractors.
And once they're in, new hires stand to benefit from some very competitive perks.
We do also offer employees comprehensive benefits package that includes health care, 401k, and retirement plans, all starting on day one.
Amazon offers a 50% match for retirement plans and 20 weeks of parental leave. They also encourage new hires to enroll in their Career Choice program that prepays 95% of tuition for classes in high-demand fields, even if you don't stay at Amazon.
Even if it's outside of our company, just to help our employees pursue career paths that are very important and they're passionate about.
As for when the center will be up and running and shipping orders, the hiring announcement seems to be our only clue so far.
We begin hiring for our new fulfillment centers anywhere between 1 to 2 months prior to launch, so stay tuned for some more updates.
That was our Doug Reardon reporting tonight. Amazon says it fronted the cost for adjustments after 3 traffic studies were done in the area. They're also offsetting their employee hours to miss morning and evening rush hours. For more information, you can head to fox17online.com.
So ahead here tonight at 10 o'clock, a decades-long source of power on the lakeshore going up in smoke.
Coal plants are shutting down regularly. This is kind of a normal practice.
And now it is happening in Grand Haven, where the power will be coming from next.
The international death toll from the coronavirus continuing to rise tonight. The latest in the fight against the illness and how scammers are now trying to cash in on it.
And remember that Equifax hack affecting nearly 150 million Americans, making it the largest data breach ever? The Chinese military is now believed to be responsible. We'll explain.
You're watching Fox 17 News.
Grand Haven's power source is changing, and it means they're not going to be burning coal anymore.
Fox 17's Julie Dunmeyer joining us live with more on what led to that decision. Julie?
Derek and Janice, with just a day's supply of coal left, the time the Sims power plant has had as the main power source in Grand Haven is over.
I thought it was about time.
John Golden lives in Grand Haven. When he heard the news the Sims power plant was shutting down, he was all for it.
To make it ecologically suitable, it would take more investment than what it's worth. And so it's time to let it go.
The power company agrees. It's just too expensive to keep the place running.
Primarily economics. The plant over the last several years has just not been economical with the power that we can purchase elsewhere.
So Grand Haven's Board of Light and Power will be purchasing power.
Actually, we think the power prices will stay very stable. We have for some time supplemented the Sims plant operations with power purchases.
The shutdown of a coal plant, part of a national trend, as the aging plants just don't offer the same return on investment.
Coal plants are shutting down regularly. This is kind of a normal practice.
But for Grand Haven, this switch is a big deal.
It's a bigger deal for us because it's been our primary supply for the last 37 years.
And although it's the end of an era for employees at the plant, it's also the start of a new one.
I think they all realize it's time to shut the plant down, but it's been their livelihood for a long period of time.
Now, the general manager tells us the plant has been operating at a reduced staff for quite some time, and we're told the workers are being trained in other areas, so at this time they're not anticipating any job cuts. And for those of you wondering, yes, the plant does supply the heat that keeps the sidewalks in downtown Grand Haven melted and clear in the winter, but the power company says they've purchased enough power to get them through the rest of this winter, and they're still weighing their options for the next year. For now, live in studio, Julie Dunmeyer, Fox 17 News.
All right, Julie. Meanwhile, it is negative. That's what Michigan health officials are saying about the most possible recent case of coronavirus that was tested in Oakland County. A resident there had been under investigation and had traveled to China before. This now the 5th possible case in our state. All 5 now have tested negative. Despite that good news, meanwhile, the concern surrounding the virus continues to grow worldwide.
Annie Satowski live in the newsroom tonight with more on the unfortunate milestone that coronavirus has now passed. Annie.
Yeah, Derek, Janice, more than 900 people have now died from coronavirus, which is more than the SARS outbreak back in 2003. Numbers that have health officials worldwide seriously concerned.
Cases of the novel coronavirus stretch from the United States to Australia, topping 40,000 infections in 25 countries and territories, claiming the lives of at least 910 people. Despite travel restrictions, health officials worry there could be more cases in the U.S.
So right now the risk is relatively low for us, but that could change pretty quickly.
In the U.S., there are 12 confirmed cases of coronavirus, 6 of which are in California. There are also a couple in Illinois, a case each in Arizona, Massachusetts, Wisconsin, and Washington State.
10 of them were imported cases from Wuhan, and 2 were close contact spouses.
For those working or reporting on global health, the pace of the virus calls to mind the SARS outbreak of 2003. Now, some who witnessed the spread of that deadly virus worry about a repeat due to what some see as leadership failures in China.
I fear they're too late. That everybody's dragging their feet and getting ready for this, and I think this is going to really explode.
Health officials say the virus is actually less lethal than SARS. The coronavirus death rate hovers around 2%, while SARS approached nearly 10%, killing 774 people of the more than 8,000 infected.
It's less than SARS, but it's clearly much more than a typical seasonal flu.
Now, 99% of cases remain in China, where officials confirmed the first death of a U.S. citizen who was in the hospital there. Currently, there is no vaccine to prevent coronavirus, so of course you were advised to wash your hands, avoid close contact with someone who is sick, and disinfect objects that are frequently used. In the newsroom tonight, Annie Satowski, Fox 17 News.
All right, Annie, thank you. Meanwhile, when it comes to the coronavirus, there's a new phishing scam that's going around. People are posing as doctors or even members of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Usually starts out with an email with a link, and if you click on it, it can install undetectable malware on your computer. Other schemes ask people to donate money to the CDC. In addition to double checking the sender's address, experts say that there are some things to keep an eye out for.
So there's a lot of little red flags, but unfortunately cybercriminals are getting better at masking their intent. So they've actually hired copywriters to help them with the grammatical errors to make their emails look more legitimate.
So experts say the best thing to do is delete the email and go directly to the CDC's website for information.
Meanwhile, still to come tonight, keeping the kids safe while maintaining their trust, something that can be a delicate balance.
It feels like you're not allowed to do things for yourself, like they're worried about you and don't feel that you can make your own decisions.
How tracking apps can cause rifts in families and how to find a happy medium.
We try to show some great photos every night on Fox 17 News at 10 o'clock at this time. This one is absolutely gorgeous. Look at the vibrant colors in this, taken this evening at Pier Marquette in Muskegon. A very huge, big thank you to Sharon Puses. I've got this on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter if you want to follow that and take a closer look at it. Your West Michigan forecast is up in just a bit. We'll see if we can hang on to more of this kind of weather.
Tracking or parental control apps, pretty common, but they can cause some tension between parents and their kids.
Experts say it's to be expected, but there are ways to reach a compromise. Fox 17's Mike Avery has the story.
Gary cuts up there.
Donna Slaughter and her son Josh have a great relationship, but when it comes to the tracking app Life 360, they don't always see eye to eye.
And that's kind of where we go back and forth, is he feels like I don't trust him. And me, I'm worried that something's going to happen to him. You know, I don't ever question that he's not where he said he was going to be. It's more of,
Well, we apologize. We had some technical difficulties there. We will try to get that fixed and get it for you coming up later on after the commercial break. Meanwhile, a homeowner in Coopersville ordering a remodel job but having nothing to show for it.
Of that $6,295, how much work did he do?
None.
What the problem solvers are learning about a local company accused of taking the money and not doing the job.
Here's your wake-up weather for tomorrow and our Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. Temperatures will be down in the low 20s. We'll fall into the teens if you're further north of Grand Rapids where it's clearing out. Sunrise time occurs at 7:45. We'll see variably cloudy skies. Lots of cold air coming in here. That's in just a few more days. We'll look at the timing and the snow it brings with it up next.
Back to that story from a couple minutes ago. We had problems with tracking or parental control apps. Pretty common these days, but many say they can cause tension between the parents and their children.
Experts say that's to be expected, but there are ways to reach a compromise. Our Mike Avery has the story.
Gary cuts up there.
Donna Slaughter and her son Josh have a great relationship, but when it comes to the tracking app Life 360, they don't always see eye to eye.
and that's kind of where we go back and forth, is he feels like I don't trust him. And me, I'm worried that something's going to happen to him. You know, I don't ever question that he's not where he said he was going to be. It's more of, what if something happens?
Tracking apps have been around for years, and there's a lot of them. Their function is pretty simple, too. They track movement through GPS on your smartphones. At any moment, mom and dad can see exactly where you are, or at least where your cell phone is.
I don't like the concept of just people knowing where you are at all times. Like, I always liked it the old-fashioned way, where you were allowed to make your own mistakes, and where you went out, did your own thing, and if you made a mistake, then you would learn from it and be a better person from it.
For Josh and his mom, the Life 360 app came into play after he got his driver's license almost a year ago.
It has been valuable for me. I guess the longer it goes on, the more I trust his driving.
But teenagers like Josh view tracking apps much differently than their parents. It's a dynamic that psychologist Greg Malice sees quite often in his practice at Pine Rest Christian Mental Health Services.
And what parent doesn't want to know that their kid is safe? The problem is that for the kids, they don't see it as a safety thing. They see it as an invasion of privacy.
It's an issue, Malice says, that could build resentment and distrust in the family.
So it can create conflict. And there's been some research to show that teens who are feeling like their parents are invading their privacy are more likely to have a lot more conflict at home.
Malice says the situation can be resolved, so it's a win-win for both parents and their kids.
Parents can talk to their kids and say, you know, we're going to use this only when we don't know where you are and you're supposed to be here, so that the teenager knows they're not just going to be pulling it up randomly to spot check where I'm at and what I'm doing.
He also says parents should not keep the app on their kids' phones indefinitely.
So for this amount of time, 6 months or a year, we're going to have this app. We'll tell you when we're going to look at it or when we have looked at it, so that you know and you're not questioning. But if over that time we see that we can trust you, then we're going to take the app off and you don't have to worry about it.
It's something that Josh is looking forward to. He made a deal with his mom to keep Life 360 on his phone for a year, and when he turned 17, it would come off. That day is just a few months away.
Welcome to a Monday evening, everybody. We'll start by looking about 400 feet above the surface of the tower cam shot in Grand Rapids. Beautiful shot. Quiet conditions. We're in pretty good shape, although the roads in your subdivision, if they're like mine, you've